Well, not only is the president doubling down on raising taxes for those making over $250,000, he's doubling down on green energy with Taxpayer Green on a $168 million plan to help build offshore wind farms. With more on this, Republican Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. She is vice chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee. It is great to see you and have you on the show.
Good to see you.
I look at this, and I'm kind of shocked about what the administration is proposing here with wind energy. What is your reaction to this $168 million, 6-year plan? It's not a ton of money, but why are we going there?
Well, and Jerry, the first thing I said is, where are they getting this money? And right now, my staff and the committee staff is trying to figure out. It doesn't appear to be in the stimulus, and so we're trying to figure out where they're trying to get this $4 million to give each of 7 companies to see who's going to compete to try to make something viable. The problem is you've got wind energy entities out there that have been working for a decade, and they can't get to the point of commercial viability. So we're saying, look, don't keep throwing this money after projects that are not ready to be commercially viable.
Well, I think you've got to ask big questions about the technology here, Congresswoman. I mean,
correct.
It seems to me it's less than energy efficient. You know what I mean? Like the bang for the buck that you get is just not impressive at all. And meanwhile, you ruin the entire landscape. Is this an idea that you could ever get behind?
Well, no, and you hit on 2 things. It ruins the landscape, and then you don't get much for the dollar you spend. It's the most expensive form of energy. And of course, we have homegrown energy when you're talking about oil and gas and coal and nuclear power generation. So those are homegrown. They are affordable sources of energy. Now, also on the landscape, we've heard in committee and through the renewable reports, if you wanted 54,000 megawatts of wind energy generated, that would take 15,000 turbines 10 to 20 miles off the eastern seaboard. It would need to cover a scope of 3,000 miles. And Jerry, the coastline from Maine to Florida is 1,300 miles. So this shows you that's exactly right. This is just not going to work. And we also know that whether it is Rhode Island or Delaware or Michigan or Massachusetts with Cape Wind, not any of these projects have worked.
All right. Hang on. This all feels to me like Solyndra and A123 all over again.
You're exactly right.
And I want to share some numbers that I think are really important with our viewers that blew me away. So, wind, expensive. It's getting 5 times more the breaks than natural gas, 2.5 times more expensive than onshore wind. So what we see at the end of the day is, to get this to go, the government is having to pony up so much more money than it even gives the oil industry, for goodness sakes. And what
right.
People say about the oil industry and government support, that it's unlimited. There it is, 12 times greater than oil and gas subsidies. If you could find a viable green energy to sponsor, would you be willing to put that kind of money up?
Well, if you can find something, yes. Let's talk about what is working. The problem is, right now, government is picking winners and losers, and you just talked about that with wind energy, with the wind energy production credit. Oil and gas does get a production credit, but Jerry, why don't you just say wind, solar, biomass, ethanol, whatever? You're going to get the same production tax credit. So
algae good too.
After you invest your money, private companies, then you're going to get that. But this business of things like the DOE loan guarantee program, taking taxpayer funds, funneling it into these companies that cannot reach commercial viability on their own after decades of trying, we are too broke to be doing this.
Well, okay.
We don't have the money.
And that brings me to my final point. How do we afford this? Where is the bottomless pocket that we're digging into right now to find the money to pay for this? Aren't we having a big debate right now over how to fund this huge debt that we've built up? I mean, I just don't see any sensibility about our money and managing it in a way that makes sense in Washington.
Well, that's exactly right. That's why when I first saw this, I turned to my staff and I said, where are they getting the money for this? We've got all these DOE loan guarantee programs with Fisker and Beacon Power and Solyndra and A123, and now they're going to go spin up something on wind. They're going to $28 million out the door immediately, another $168 million over 4 years. Where are they getting this money? I can tell you one thing. When we get around to the appropriations process, there will be amendments on the floor to block DOE putting this money into this kind of R&D. It has no place. We cannot afford it.
Cannot afford it.
If a private company wants to do it, good luck.
Yeah,
and
I don't have a problem with that either. I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Congresswoman Blackburn, thanks for coming on tonight. It's always terrific to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.